y'all, it's Fatima Dynasty, and I'm coming at y'all today with another word, some more motivation. Today, I want to talk to y'all about self-love because it is so important, and I didn't realize how important it was until like maybe a couple of years ago. You always hear people talk about self-love, but when you learn it and you know it for yourself and you start to fall into self-love for yourself, everything changes. You elevate to a whole new level. I started going on a self-love journey a couple of years ago. And let me tell y'all, I thought I loved myself. I thought because I take care of myself, I pamper myself, I always step out looking good, I thought, baby, I love myself. That's just only a part of it. That's just only a part of it. Because it took one of these girls I knew back when I was in the military. She was like, she just told me flat out, she was like, you don't got no self-love for yourself. And the reason why she said that, and it hurt, and it really hit me, because I'm like, what is this girl talking about? Like, I do love myself. Like, you can't tell, like, I do love myself. And the reason why she said that was because the dudes that I would be dating, the dudes that I will be around, she was like, you cannot possibly have love for yourself, or you wouldn't be accepting this. And that is why it's so important, because when you don't have self-love for yourself, and you're insecure or whatever the case may be, you start to attract people that give you less than what you deserve. You attract people that you shouldn't have around you. And you do some unhealthy things, and you fall into a lot of toxic relationships. And so one thing I had to do was I had to stop dating altogether. I stopped dating. I had to really take a step back, because it's just like, it's not them, it's me. Because if I love myself better, I wouldn't even let those type of people into my life. And that don't only go for the romantic relationships I was having. That also went to friendships, females, people I was keeping around longer than I should have, all because we've been friends for a long time, but they weren't treating me right. And I just kept them around because codependency. Because we had something in common that was keeping us together, but they didn't really treat me right. They really didn't love me for real. And I kept them around because they were something to be around. They were something to fill the void that I had that was with inside of me. Family members as well. If I do the work on myself, the self-work, I wouldn't even let those people into my life. The first thing I did on my self-love journey, child, I went to God about it. Because I knew that God is the only thing that can reveal these things to me of why I don't love myself how he wants me to love myself. I had to go deeper with God. I had to build my relationship better with God so he can give me revelation on what it is that's holding me back from loving myself. And going on a self-love journey is not easy, because baby, God starts to show you now. Come on now, when you pray about something, when you go to God about something, God gonna answer that prayer. You have to be ready for this, okay? Because the things that God shows you, it's gonna be painful, and you might not like it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Words do not come back void. And when you're praying to God about it, and you're really seeking better, and you're seeking more growth, God gonna give it to you. Because it was almost like God was like, here's a beautiful vase, this most gorgeous vase. You are this vase. You are this pretty vase, but God was like, come in closer. Let me show you. You see this crack right here in this vase? This crack came from this, and this is why we need to fill that crack up. I can heal you from this, but you're going to have to work through the pain with me. You're going to have to go through it with me. You're going to have to really grow and heal from this. And so it was like God was turning my vase every which way, and it was so many cracks. I wasn't whole. I wasn't whole because I did not have that self-love. And the reason why I didn't have that self-love was because there was so many things I needed to work on and heal from that I was just running from, and I was just suppressing. It was things from my childhood I had never healed from. It was things from abusive relationships I had never healed from. And I just kept moving on like everything was fine, and it wasn't, because it started to come up and it started to show up in my relationships. But when I went deeper with my relationship with God, I had to become vulnerable. I had to become accountable. I had to take responsibility. And that's another reason why a lot of people run away from their relationship with God. That's why a lot of people run away and suppress things, because they don't want to do the work. They want to run away from the pain. And one thing about it, when you're running away from the pain, you're running away from yourself, you're running away from God, and you're operating in fear, that's a setup from the enemy, because fear is not even of God. But the enemy will use that fear inside of you to move you into a different direction, just because you don't want to deal with yourself, just because you don't want to deal with the things that's happening to your life, right? Because when you're running away from something, you're running towards something else. And that something else, most of the time, is nothing good. Nothing that's going to elevate you to the next level. Nothing that can help you move towards more of what God wants for you in your life. It's going to show up in some type of way. And one big trick of the enemy is to keep you in cycles, right? Because the devil is not omnipresent like God is omnipresent. So one thing that the devil will do is keep you in cycles and cycles and cycles and cycles, so that when he comes back to you, he know exactly where he left you, because you're still in that cycle. And that's one way, not having self-love and running towards different things and not dealing with the pain that is in your life so you can grow in self-love. That's one of the tricks that the enemy will use. Because right outside that door, the enemy might have a toxic relationship waiting for you, because you don't want to deal with your pain, right? So you're just going to keep on moving, and you're going to accept less than what you deserve. And so right outside that door, it's the relationship that you'll be stuck in for years and years and years and years, and going through cycle and cycle and cycle with different men, different friends, different everybody, and you're stuck in a cycle, and you're left worse than what you started, and you're never really elevating to get to the place that God wants you to be. And I hope that makes sense. Because, honey, listen, I'm about this close away from forgetting where I was going with it. God had to bring it back for me. God had to bring it back together. I almost lost it. So then God brought me into this place of forgiveness. And this is very, 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 very important, because forgiving will set you free. Okay? And the first person I needed to forgive was myself, for the way I treated myself, for the way I gave myself less than. Do you get what I'm saying? And then after I got done forgiving myself, I got my journal out. And baby, you don't need closure in person, okay? What I did was I wrote letters, and I wrote names down and what these people did to me. And I wrote them list of names down. I forgave them, and I set that piece of paper on fire and let it go. No longer will I be bound to the things that people did to me. No longer was I going to be bound to the things that I did to myself. I needed to set myself free. That elevated me. It elevated me. And I felt so free. I felt like I was able to breathe again, because I'm not in my head thinking about all the things that I did in my past. God just set me free from it. I gave it all to God. I gave it to God completely. The next thing was God had put me in isolation. I just needed to work on myself, and I just needed to heal, right? So I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of looking in the mirror, saying self-affirmations. I used to have this thing with my body weight, because I've been a chubby girl since I was a little girl. And I think a big part of that was not ever loving my body as well. So I used to have to get in the mirror naked. I was rubbing oil on myself, becoming comfortable in my skin. You know what I'm saying? Rubbing on myself, kissing myself, just loving on me, okay? That was a big, big thing for me, because once I learned how to love where I was, and I'm not saying you can improve. You can become the best person that you want to be. This is what it's all about. But I had to love where I was right then and there. I had to go back, and I had to talk to my younger self, and I had to free my younger self from a lot of things, and a lot of hurt, and a lot of pain, and love on my younger self as well. Apologize to my younger self. You get what I'm saying? And that helped me tremendously into coming into the present and filling myself up with love. Just filling myself up with as much love as I possibly could. And I cried through it. I screamed through it. Sometimes I wrestle with God about some things, and that's what God really wants. That's a real relationship with God, because this thing is not pretty. It might not be pretty, but it's worth it. You get what I'm saying? So that was one of the big things that I did. And then once I came up out of isolation, you know what I'm saying? Once I came up out of isolation, and I was able to sit with myself and see a lot of things that was going on in my life and the people I was around, I got to cutting people off. Because it was time. It had been time. The time had been past for me to cut these people off. And I knew me being attached to certain people still was going to hold me back. I knew for this season in my life and where I'm going, I had to make the executive decision. And sometimes I didn't even make the decision. God made it for me, and people just got to ghosting themselves. You know what I'm saying? Got to ghosting me, got to ghosting themselves, and I didn't even have to do much. And when you get to elevating, and when you get to growing in your self-love, stuff like that is going to happen. People are going to fall off. You're going to realize the people that you should no longer have into your life. And that set me free. That set me free. That set me free. It's like I went from a level 5 to a level 8. And now here come the fun part. The fun part is now you done built your relationship with God. Now you done went through all of the bull crap, worked your way through it, and now it's all about just doing what you love. Just do what you love. Like, and if you don't know what you love, just start picking up hobbies and different things that you feel like you may like to do. Another thing that I did was I went back into my childhood and I was like, what was the things that I used to love to do when I was a child? Before the world got a hold of you and you were just living in bliss and freedom and you didn't care what nobody thought, and you were just doing what you love. Go back and figure out what you love to do, okay? And that is you'll become so much more at peace when you're just operating in love and you're just doing the things that you love and you just loving on yourself, and then you got better people around you and you can love on them. But it all starts with self-love. It all starts with self-love. All right? So, like, I'm so happy that I'm back making videos on YouTube. It was good talking to y'all. I love y'all so much. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all so much. Shout out to the tribe. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all of my supporters. I love y'all so much. I do have an album out right now. And I wrote this album when I was in the midst of everything, and I was coming out of everything that I just talked about, and I was coming out of that, and it will set you free. I put my all into it, and it's a beautiful album. It's called God Rich. I will be placing the link in the bio so you can go ahead and listen to that. It's a beautiful album. I love y'all, and I will see y'all next time. Peace out.